seconds and counting. The guidance system will go in.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today here at Studio Classroom. And I should say, Happy New Year, everyone. Wow, it seems like yesterday that we just celebrated the beginning of 2010. So, how did you do with the New Year's resolutions you made last year? Were you successful in keeping them? You know, a recent study reveals that about 50% of the people who make New Year's resolutions, they feel confident that they will reach their goals. But of those people, only 12% actually achieve those goals. Only 12%. So, hopefully today's lesson will help that number to go up and so help more of you keep your resolutions. Okay. Time to open our magazines to page 12 and begin reading Get Smart This Year.
Get smart this year. Out with the old, in with the new. The beginning of a new year finds many people making New Year's resolutions. While they are easy to make, few people stay true to them. However, it's a new year and many want to turn over a new leaf. If you're one of them, you'll be more successful if you make smart goals. Each goal should be specific. Don't say you want to lose some weight, read more, or exercise more. Decide how much weight to lose, how many books to read, or how many times a week to exercise.
Hello, friends. Happy New Year. Welcome to Studio Classroom Worldwide. My name is Chip.
And I'm Chelsea, and we're so glad that you have decided to join us on this New Year's Day. We have a lot of new and exciting things to teach you this year here on Studio Classroom, as well as a lot of new faces to introduce to you. We'll be introducing you to new teachers as the year continues. But today we are going to begin with a New Year's article. It is entitled, Get Smart This Year. It's always good to be smart. We're going to give you some tips on how to do that this year, 2011.
Now, one of the things that we often say, and one of the things that you might often hear around the New Year, is this phrase. It's our deck, out with the old and in with the new. And that simply means let's get rid of the old things that need improvement, and let's bring in new things that are good improvements on the things that are already in our lives. Now, our article begins by saying the beginning of a new year finds many people making New Year's resolutions. Now, Chelsea, I think we've used that word, New Year's resolutions, or a resolution, before here at Studio Classroom, but let's talk about what a resolution is.
Well, when we talk about New Year's, resolutions are often one of the first things we hear about. A resolution is just a promise or a commitment to begin a good habit or to break a bad habit. And what better time to make a resolution than right at the beginning of the new year. So we're going to be talking about some resolutions that can be made this year. But before we do, we're going to look at that phrase, finds many people, with Liz right now in Grammar on the Go.
Hi there, friends. How are you today? My name is Liz, and it's time for Grammar on the Go. Our article for the first day of the year is all about making New Year's resolutions. According to our writer, the beginning of a new year finds many people making New Year's resolutions. That's our grammar tip sentence, and today we're looking at the word find. Now, we often use find to mean to look for something or to finally see something. But in the case of our sentence, the writer is not saying that New Year is looking for the people who are making New Year's resolutions. No. Instead, find means to see or to meet by chance. In other words, the beginning of a new year is a time when it's easy to see many people making New Year's resolutions. This use of find is more often in formal situations. For example, if Marissa continues to skip class and does not do her homework, she will find it very difficult to pass this course. Or, Pamela went to the art museum yesterday and found the new exhibit to be very interesting. So next time, when you need to talk about how a subject sees or meets a certain situation, consider using the word find. And that's it for today's Grammar on the Go. Thank you for joining me here, and I do hope to see you again real soon. Until then, this is Liz with Grammar on the Go signing off. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Liz. So we see that the beginning of the new year finds many people making New Year's resolutions. And while these resolutions are easy to make, few people really stay true to them. Few people really stay committed and continue to do these things that they've promised to do.
I have to admit, I'm one of those people. I've made many New Year's resolutions in my life before, but I have a hard time staying true to them sometimes, as many people do. However, it is a new year, and many want to turn over a new leaf. Now, Chip, this is an interesting phrase here, to turn over a new leaf. This might be one that our viewers have not heard before. Can you tell us what it means?
Yeah, well, it's an idiom that means to make a new start. So if you're turning over a new leaf, then you're trying to make a new start and probably improve something in your life. And this is a very old phrase, and it comes from the idea of turning a page of a book. If you turn over the page that you have just read and you now begin reading a new page, that might be called, in old days, turning over a new leaf.
Now, if you're one of these people who wants to turn over a new leaf in 2011, our text tells us that you'll be more successful if you make SMART goals. Now, each one of those letters in the word SMART is going to give us a tip on how you can make good goals and resolutions this year. So let's look at the first one. Each goal, first of all, Chip, should be specific. Now, that S represents the S in SMART, but we have the word specific here.
Right, and specific means particular or referring to only one thing, not referring to many things. Or we might say not general, but specific. So our article says, don't say that you want to lose some weight or read more or exercise more. Rather, decide how much weight to lose, how many books to read, or how many times a week to exercise.
Now, this is great advice. I think this is a problem that many people run into when they're making New Year's resolutions, is that they are not specific. But the more specific you're able to be, the more likely you are to reach those goals. So make sure you set the number of books you want to read or the amount of weight that you want to lose just as it says, and you'll find success when you make specific goals. Well, right now we're going to take a break, but before we do, we have a skit, and we'll be right back with more ways to make SMART goals in 2011.
It's the beginning of a new year. It's time to turn over a new leaf.
So, did you make some New Year's resolutions?
I sure did. Making resolutions is easy.
True, but keeping them is not. That's why I made SMART resolutions.
SMART resolutions? S-M-A-R-T?
That's right. S is for specific. Decide exactly what you want to achieve.
Oh, S. Specific.
Yep, and M means measurable. Be sure you can measure your goals. Then you'll know how you're doing.
Oh, have goals that you can measure. That's a good idea. What does the A stand for?
Well, A is for attainable. Don't set impossible goals.
Attainable. Set doable goals.
That's right. And R is for relevant. Write resolutions that are important to you.
Oh, I like that one. R is for relevant.
And T is for timely.
Oh, timely. Always wear a watch.
No, timely means you set deadlines. Decide how much time it will take to reach your goals.
Hey, these are really good tips.
SMART. You'll be more successful if you make smart resolutions.
Yeah, smart resolutions. Smart idea. See you around.
Hey, where are you going?
To rewrite my resolutions. These aren't smart enough.
Well, good idea. Get a smart start to the new year.
Welcome back from the break, everyone. If you're the kind of person who wants to make some improvements in your life, then there's no better time to begin than now, January 1st. But don't forget our friendly reminder. A high level of confidence is no guarantee of success. To ensure that you keep your new resolutions, our author says you'll need to get smart. Okay, to help us remember today's lesson, each of our 5 tips begins with a letter from the word smart. We just finished the first letter S for specific. Let's continue with tip number 2 on line 15, the letter M for measurable.
Get smart this year. Measurable. Weigh yourself daily. Count the number of books you read monthly and make note of how many times you exercise each week. Attainable. Don't set impossible goals. For example, don't vow to lose 10 kilograms in a week. Or if you have just started running, realize you won't be running a long-distance race in a month. Relevant. If you love history, you probably won't read 8 books a month about science. You won't stick with it if the subject isn't interesting. Timely. Set deadlines. How long will you take to read a book? A new year is about starting over, so start now.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about making smart New Year's resolutions and how to make smart resolutions this year. And we began to see that each letter in the word smart refers to a tip that we're giving you. So we saw that the S in SMART refers to making specific goals this year, making specific resolutions. We see that the M here means measurable. Chelsea, what can you tell us about making measurable goals?
Well, it's not only important to have specific goals, but to also be able to measure those. And we've talked about that just a little bit. Our text says to weigh yourself daily. Remember, you're setting a specific amount of weight you want to lose, so weigh yourself daily to see if you are reaching your goal. Count the number of books you read monthly. Maybe you want to read 3 or 5 books. Are you reaching that goal? And make note of how many times you exercise each week. Is it 1 or is it 5? Are you able to measure it? And if you are reaching your goal, well, then you're doing a good job.
All right, now that phrase, make note of something, simply means to record something or write it down as you do it. So you want to take note of or make a note of how many times a week you exercise. And you want to keep track and measure that. Now, our A in the word SMART also refers to another tip, and that is that your goals should be attainable.
If something is attainable, that means it's able to be attained. In other words, that means it's able to be reached successfully. Our article says don't set impossible goals. For instance, if your goal is to swim across the Pacific Ocean this year, well, you might have a hard time reaching that goal. It's not very attainable. So you want to make sure that you come up with goals and resolutions that are possible to reach.
Exactly. So if I want to make my resolution this year related to reading more books, then I probably don't want my resolution to be read one book every day, because that's probably not attainable for me. I'm not a very fast reader.
So our article goes on to give us some examples of attainable goals and goals that are not attainable. It says, for example, don't vow to lose 10 kilograms in a week. First of all, that's not a very attainable goal. Second of all, that's not very healthy. So don't vow to lose 10 kilograms in a week. Now, Chip, if you vow to do something, what are you doing?
Well, you're simply making a promise, or you're promising to do something. You're committing to doing something. And actually, two people who are getting married are vowing to each other. They're vowing their loyalty to each other, or making their vows.
Or if you have just started running, don't vow to run a long-distance race in a month. That would be a goal that is not attainable. Now, the letter R in the word SMART stands for relevant. Chip, what does it mean if something is relevant?
Well, that simply means that it's connected to what's happening at that time, or it's connected to what is being talked about at that time. So, Chelsea, right now, my mother is in America.
Well, Chip, that's not relevant. We're talking about New Year's resolutions, so let's continue to talk about New Year's resolutions. It says that if you love history, you probably won't read 8 books a month about science. That would not be relevant information to you. You would probably want to read history books. You won't stick with the subject if it's not interesting. So make sure you choose goals that are relevant to you, things that are interesting to you. Chip, we have one more letter, and that letter is T. What's it stand for?
Well, it looks like our goals need to be timely. Make your New Year's resolutions timely, or so that they're happening at the right time. And the first sentence here says, set deadlines. And a deadline is a time when something is due, or when something is expected to be done. So your homework probably has a deadline to it, or your work assignments. If your boss gives you a task to do, it will have a deadline.
I have a lot of deadlines with work, and I know many of you do too. So how long will you take to read a book? Make sure you set a deadline. Your goals will be more attainable that way. Well, a new year is about starting over, so start now. What better time than the beginning of 2011? That's all the time we have today. We're going to visit the chat room before we go. We'll see you back here next time on Studio Classroom. Hello, can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to check these books out.
Sure thing, Ken.
Rachel, what are you doing here in the library?
I work here now.
I can see that, but how did you...
Well, Ashley is a good friend of mine. She told me that she was leaving and asked me if I was interested in working here. So here I am.
Wow, so you're Ashley's replacement?
I am. She was the one who trained me before she left.
So, how do you like it here so far?
Well, the work is a bit overwhelming, but Ashley told me that I should stick with it.
Stick with it? Is that the same as stick to it?
I see you're as curious as ever about English, Ken. Yes, stick with it and stick to it mean the same thing. Both of these idioms mean to continue doing something, even if it is hard and we feel like giving up.
So, if I'm having a hard time learning a song on the piano, my piano teacher might tell me to stick with it?
Yes, your teacher would want you to keep trying the song, even if it's hard.
Are there any other English idioms that use stick?
Yes, there are. A good one to learn is stick to your guns. That means to refuse to change your ideas, even if other people try to change them. The girl stuck to her guns about not liking the book, even when it was her book club's favorite.
I have to stick to my guns and finish reading Studio Classroom, even when my friends want to go out.
There you go. And here's another one, a stick in the mud.
A stick in the mud. So you're using stick as a noun.
That's right. A stick in the mud means to be stubborn and not change your mind. For example, parents can sometimes be a stick in the mud about not changing their kids' bedtimes.
My brother always stays home on Friday nights. He is such a stick in the mud.
Hey, you got it. Well, here are your books.
Thank you.
And don't be a stick in the mud and enjoy the books.
I will stick with it even if it's hard. Hey, great seeing you again.
You too, Ken.
新的一年要先祝大家新年快乐。我们也很高兴看到 Rachel 又回到了 chat room， 相信今年我们会从她那里学到很多东西。今天的课文提到 You won't stick with it if the subject isn't interesting。这里有一个很实用的片语 stick with it， 就是坚持忍耐的意思。除了 stick with， 也可以讲 stick to， 比如说 I will stick to my decision， 我会坚持我的决定。另外一个常用的片语是 stick to your guns， 字面上是坚守你的枪，但是它的意思呢跟战争或者枪毫无关系。Stick to one's guns 当作片语用，表示坚持自己的原则，不屈服外界的压力。最后 a stick in the mud 用来形容人，表示一个老古板，不懂得变通，守旧的人。Don't be such a stick in the mud， 不要那么不懂得变通。好，我们下次图书馆见。
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. 这篇文章的第一个重点，我们来看 resolution 这个名词。resolution 在这里是指决心或决定，例如 I made a resolution to quit drinking coffee. 我下了决心不要喝咖啡了。课文中的 New Year's resolutions 是指新年新希望，例如 One of Wanda's New Year's resolutions is to read a good book every month. Wanda 的新年新希望之一是每个月读一本好书。继续我们看的是 turn over a new leaf 这个成语。leaf 本来是指叶子，所以 turn over a new leaf 是指展开新的一页，改过自新或者是重新做人。例如 Nathan used to be irresponsible, but he turned over a new leaf after he joined the military. Nathan 以前是个不负责任的人，不过他从军之后完全变了一个人。最后我们看的是 deadline 这个名词。deadline 是指截止日期或者是最后期限。例如 The deadline for this report is next Monday. 这份报告的最后期限是下周一。在期限内完成是用 meet meet the deadline 这个片语。例如 We stayed up late to meet the deadline. 我们熬夜赶工，为了能够在期限内完成。或者是 Dave missed the deadline for applying for his work pension. Dave 错过了申请工作津贴的最后截止日期。And I guess that's all for today. Happy New Year, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Woohoo! New Year's Day!
Yeah!
All right! Happy New Year, Steve.
Thanks, Bill. Happy New Year, everyone. It's time to go out with the old, or get the old stuff out of there and bring in the good new stuff.
Sweep out that old stuff. Bring in the new stuff. It's a new year, 2011.
It's time to get smart.
It's time for Studio Classroom Recap. Oh, yeah, listeners, brand new year. Same old guys, Bill and Steve. All right, we just keep getting better with age, though.
Like a fine cheese.
Or a fine wine. Or something, or like an old shoe. All right, enough. Our listeners want content, Steve, that they can use, vocab and information.
Yeah.
Now, this, article made me think about, we talk about resolutions and things. Everybody has great ideas and resolutions. And one thing I thought about is, what is your daily resolution? Instead of thinking big and grand, daily.
Interesting, Bill, because perhaps when people think on such a large scale, they would be overwhelmed and they think, I just can't do it. But if they think day to day, maybe that's more manageable.
Yeah, it becomes too much. People have goals that are way too much, too big. They become discouraged. Then eventually they give them up. One thing I thought about as far as for me on a daily basis, and what I need to do is resolve to at least take just 10 or 15 minutes and think, pray, meditate, whatever you might want to call it. For different people, it's different things, but I need to make sure that I take 10 or 15 minutes each day to set time aside to pray.
Sure, cultivate your spirit.
Yeah.
Good point.
And I think that's really the root of everything. If I take that time, then everything else will follow.
Doesn't that work that way? It's interesting that that's how it works.
Yeah.
It falls into place if you have that in your day.
Yeah. So there you go, listeners. January 1st. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having a great year with you.
Get smart this year. Out with the old, in with the new. The beginning of a new year finds many people making New Year's resolutions. While they are easy to make, few people stay true to them. However, it's a new year and many want to turn over a new leaf. If you're one of them, you'll be more successful if you make SMART goals. Each goal should be specific. Don't say you want to lose some weight, read more, or exercise more. Decide how much weight to lose, how many books to read, or how many times a week to exercise. Measurable. Weigh yourself daily. Count the number of books you read monthly and make note of how many times you exercise each week. Attainable. Don't set impossible goals. For example, don't vow to lose 10 kilograms in a week. Or, if you have just started running, realize you won't be running a long-distance race in a month. Relevant. If you love history, you probably won't read 8 books a month about science. You won't stick with it if the subject isn't interesting. Timely. Set deadlines. How long will you take to read a book? A new year is about starting over, so start now.
Now, whether you want to get out of debt, get a new job, or quit smoking, whether you want to be more environmentally responsible, lose weight, spend more time volunteering to help others, or make a plan to improve your English, whatever your resolution is this year, we hope that the 5 smart tips in today's lesson will help keep you on the road to successfully reaching your target. Friends, please have a relaxing weekend and then join us on Monday when we attempt to make some sense of business alphabet soup. Until then, have fun turning over your new leaf. Bye-bye, friends.